All right, so we're gonna start with this one. We're gonna go to the regression plots. So I guess again we talked about sort of a little bit of regression plots. So we're gonna go a little more in depth with the Seaborn. So again, click to download, open it up on your Colab. So I would go the open Colab. I would go upload, choose file, and then regression plots. And that's how I open it to see my color. All right, so the first thing we want to do is import Seaborn as SNS. We're gonna run it, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna import the data from tips from the SNS load database. Again, this is a built-in data set from Seaborn. This is just for us to play around, but we can extract data from any place we want. We talked about how we can do it with CSV files, HTML files, Excels, and text files. So let's just see, double check that we have the information that we want. And we do. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw some linear regression graphs. So what we're gonna do for a linear regression is going to be a LM plot. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna decide what is going to be our X value. For our X value will be the total bill. And the Y will be tip. And our data will be from tips. And you can see that we are able to plot every single point and do a prediction of our graph. It kind of looks similar to what we saw on the grids. And we can actually separate this if we want to by hue. Remember, hue allows us to be able to separate by a specific type of categories on a column. So we can do hue on sex. So that's gonna separate it by the different choices that we have for sex, male versus female in this case, and do a regression for both of them. And this way we can compare between both. Let's see. Let's copy this. We're gonna use it for the next one, and we can change the color by using a different palette. Palette equals cool warm. All right, so it kind of looks the same, right? A little bit more faded, but anyways. Let's do the same thing that we did. And so it's still gonna be total bill tip. Data is going to be from tips. The hue will be the sex still. The palette will be still cool warm. The markers, we're gonna add some markers there. Will be, and here because we have two options, right, for male and female. In this case, we're gonna use O and star, or sorry, V, and then we're gonna use scatter, KWS, S, and 100. Okay. So we're gonna be able to change the points with a special marker so that way we can see them a little bit better, right? So you can see the dots and the triangles for male and females. So this is a different way to project our data. And let's say we want to change and be able to have two graphs separated. So let's say we want to be able to have the male and the females, but in a different graph. So we can do that by doing but just not by having, instead of a hue, we use the column to be able to separate. So if we want to have them in the same graph, we use the hue. If we want to separate them into a different graph, we use the column, the call. So that's going to give us it's going to create two linear regressions with two separated graphs by column. And if we change it by row, that should give us two different columns, one on top of the other one. So that allows us to be able to see in a different way our graphs. Now we can actually extend this by using in 2 dimensions. So let me have this. I'll copy it, put it here. And what we can actually do is have them in two rows, 2 columns by adding row be represented by time. And so you can see this is going to separate the columns by time. So there's 2 different times. The column will be separated by 2 columns, right? Time, lunch, and dinner. So you can see the left column is lunch, the right column is dinner, and then the separated by sex on the rows. The top will be males and the bottom will be females. So you can see that you can display the data of the tips depending on different relation with time or sex. All right. We can also put them in. Let me grab this again one more time and display them in with the remember the time. The day had 4 different entries, so we can actually have this change to instead of having the row represented by sex, we're gonna change this back to a hue, so that way it doesn't have a different row, but each column has a representation of each of different sex. We're still gonna keep the column, but we're gonna, instead of having time, we're gonna have day. As you can see, right, it still represents one, each column represents one day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but each one is separated. It's in the same graph. It's analyzing the male and the female in the same graph. All right, so let's do the same thing. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna change the palette so I have different colors. Let's add palette that to generate different colors. So I'm gonna call it cool warm, and then we're gonna add an aspect of the graph to be 0.6 and the size 8. So we're gonna make them a little bit bigger, but with a little bit of different size. So it doesn't have a size. Maybe remove that one. I guess we don't need the size. They're actually automatically making it in the size that we wanted it. So I mean, we could go and look for it, but we don't need to. Um, yeah, let me see. Um, here. So we have scatter, Y jitter, X jitter, phase, Y partial, order, seed, logistic, lowest, robust, partial, units, and boot, CI, fig rec, scatter. Doesn't seem like it has size anymore. And maybe it has the